In the previous class, we discussed on what is SOQL queries. Hope you understood few concepts on SOQL queries. So SOQL is Salesforce Object Query Language, and yes, we are going to talk in detail of all the clauses, that is where, group by, having, order by, limit, offset, all rows for update. Okay, so these are all the clauses of our SOQL query, where we can use those clauses, and based on the requirement we can narrow down our results, or we can broaden, we can narrow down the search criteria for our query, so based on these clauses. Okay, right. So governor limits, only 100 SOQL queries are allowed per transaction, and SOQL query can return maximum of 50,000 records at a time. Okay, so don't use SOQL query in within the for loop, but we can use it in the for loop definition, not inside the for loop body. Okay, reason is, if we are using it inside the for loop body, we are not sure how many iterations that particular for loop is going to run, and that there may be a possibility of touching the governor limit, so which is 100 per transaction. So ways to execute SOQL query: query editor and Apex programming. Query editor, usually it's for our purpose, probably for checking some kind of data usually, but so in real time we actually run the SOQL queries in the Apex programming only. Yeah, we have discussed a couple of SOQL queries, how we are writing. When we run them, we have ran them from query editor. Right. So static SOQL queries, dynamic SOQL queries. So we were talking about static. So static SOQL query, we place it in the square brackets and then run it. So we cannot change the field names at the runtime for the static SOQL query. So it's fixed. So if a query returns one single record, we can save that in a particular record type. So account record is equals to, if it's returning only one single record. But if it is returning multiple records, we are going to go ahead and use our collections. So if you understand the collections correctly, it can hold a single record as an element. It can hold multiple records as elements in it. Okay, so yes. So it's a little complex, the collections. I would ask you to go through the collections class completely, understand every single point for each of the collection, so that you will be very clear in writing down the programs. Okay, so yes, we have done some examples on fetching the lead records and fetching the case records, fetching hiring manager records. Yeah, limit clause, it is going to limit the number of rows that are being displayed, that are being produced as an output from our query. So if we want, if the query returns 5,000 records, I only want 100 records, first 100 records. So limit 100 in the query. If you put at the end limit 100, yes, it is going to return only 100 records out of those 5,000 query fetch results. All rows, it returns even the deleted records also, which are present in the recycle bin, all rows clause. So this is also sometimes useful in the real-time scenario. So you can mention the all rows clause at the end. So if you are using all rows clause, you make sure you have your is deleted field fetched as part of your query. So that's where you can differentiate between the deleted rows and the rows, I mean, the deleted records and the records which are presently available in the object. You can differentiate. Right. So the next one is order by class. So by using this order by class, we can arrange, sort the results. So all these classes are going to format our output, narrow down our output, search, give some criteria for our output of the SOQL query. So they are going to make our job easier in pulling the data which is only required, but not pulling the whole data, like bulk data together. So it's going to narrow down, it's going to put some criteria. So that's where all these clauses are going to be used. Okay. So order by clause, we can arrange, sort the results records in ascending and descending order based on one or more fields on the object, right? So when you check order by field name, so if you want to order by with a rating field, let's say, so all the hot rating first, warm rating next, and the cold rating next, right? So we can do that by using the order by class, order by field name. So you will have to mention whether it's ASC or DESC. ASC is ascending order, DESC is descending order. Okay. By default, it's ascending order. So if you want to make it as descending, you can do it. Okay. So when I say ascending for string type, it's alphabetical order. But when it is for number or integer type of data types, it's normal ascending. Okay. If the user didn't provide any sorting order, Salesforce will arrange the records in ascending order. So this is the default one, right? So write an SOQL query to fetch the lead records from the object and arrange them based on the first name in the ascending order. See, I have brought everything written in my notes just because we have another 10 to 12 classes and we have many more topics to be covered. Yeah, I will cover all of the basic important topics, which makes you, perfect in the Salesforce Apex program. Okay, so yeah, that I will make sure I'm doing it. Yeah, that's where I am making it little more ready-made because the number of classes will be limited for us for now. Yeah, okay. So that's where I'm writing down everything and getting it for you. But yes, there are in between, there are few assignments which you will not find the answer. You will have to do it by yourself. So that's for you. Write an SOQL query to fetch the lead records from the object and arrange them based on the first name. Right. So here we will run only the query. Let's see, because this one we can run it. We will have to place it in the class code. So I'm just running the query editor query. Let me close. So here, select ID, first name, last name, title, email, phone, fax from the lead object, order by first name. So that means based on the first name, in the ascending order, these lead records will get displayed. So we are ordering based on the first name. You see here. So let me not use the order by clause and just execute it. See here, the order is not, we don't have any order, right? So if I need to order by first name, if I give it like order by first name, so the first name, it is going to sort all the records Again, it's going to return the same 28 records, but it's going to sort the records based on my first name. So first name, first is so here we have in a record which first name is Andy, and then Caroline, David, Bill, right? So first one record will be Andy, then the second record will be Bill or anything starting with, yeah, Betty. Yeah, Betty is also second record. Third should be Bill, then Caroline, then David. So something like that. So it's going to fetch the records based on the ascending order. Here, since my first name is string type, it's going to fetch the records and place them in the alphabetical order, right? So this is how we can you make use of order by class. So let's see how we are going to do it with uh, descending order. Okay, so here I'm ordering by created date in the descending order. Usually I will not write DESC first, it will take ascending order. Okay, so here is our created date here, right? So it's taking 2023. 1430. Oh, all the records are inside created at that time. Yeah. So it's by default, it is taking ascending order. From February, we created few records, and we have few records which are created in May, right? So we by default, it is taking ascending order. Let's go ahead and do DESE descending order. So now the latest records should be getting displayed like the descending order. Let's execute, right? So here you see the records which are created in the month of May, those are going to be displayed first. Okay, so it's very simple. So by default, it's ascending order by default if you don't specify anything, but if you want to specify descending order, you can mention it as order by field name space DESC. Okay, there is one more query. Let us run this here. So we are making use of most of the things, and so limit I am not using first. Let's see, but we will use it again. ID, name, rating, industry, annual revenue from account, order by annual revenue. That means annual revenue, which is smaller annual revenue, should be displayed first, right? So, and here you go. Okay, so we didn't give clear annual revenue only for few records we have given, right? And we don't want all these records. Uh, I want only few records to be displayed. I'm putting the limit clause, and three records, only three records are getting displayed, right? So we can narrow down, we can put some conditions, we can create a search criteria based on our requirement for our SOQL query with the help of these clauses. So order by is going to sort the fields based on the field name given in the order by. And also by default, it is going to sort in ascending order. If you want descending order, you have to mention it as DESC at the end. Right. So the next clause is offset. So this clause is used to skip the specified number of records from the result set. So usually limit and offset goes hand in hand. That means the offset clause should be followed by the limit clause. So these are used to create a pagination feature. That means like to display the records page by page kind of, right? So both the limit and offset clauses will be used to implement pagination. In SOQL query, always offset clause should be followed by the limit clause. So please remember, when the sequence is same, because we will have to set the offset first and then only we can set the limit. But if we do not have, we can also have scenario where we do not have offset. That means the offset is 0. So it's displaying the records from the beginning, right? So that's how it is. So, but if you want to have both the clauses, you will have to specify offset followed by limit. Okay, so right, and so how we are going to select, see if this offset means what? Say I have, let's say in my SOQL query, 50 records are going to be get uh, fetched. Okay, so I want to display the records from record number 10 to record number 20. So in that case, offset is 10 and limit is 10, right? So offset 10 means that from the 10th record you display, and limit 10 means from the 10th record you display 10 records. That means 20, right? So that is how we can do it. Write an SOQL query to fetch all the records from case object and skip first 10 records from the result set. So here we don't need of this square brackets because we are just executing it from the query editor itself. Okay. So first, I'm not going to do limit offset and all, and it is going to sort based on the description, right? So let's see how many records are being displayed. So there are 28 case records, and these are displayed in the descending order sorted by created date. So the recent cases first and the oldest cases in the last. Okay, you can see that. So now what we are going to do, we are going to put an offset. So I want to display the records from record number 10, and see here, this all the first 10 records are going to be skipped, right? So 1011 onwards, it should be displaying. Okay, offset 10 and limit 10. 1011 onwards, 10 records should be displayed. So that is what I'm mentioning it here in my query. So let's execute. Okay, there is some unknown error. Let me check it. From case number, status, priority, origin, created date, from case, where, order by, created date. Select ID, case number, status, priority, reason from case, order by, created date. Okay, this one you will have to do it from your Apex programming because it is involving multiple clauses, and also this clauses has to be get separated in different lines. Okay, so you can do that, offset and limit. For update class, right? So this class, yeah. So this is a general scenario where if two people are using the system resources at a time, so what is going to happen in general operations? So there is something called a deadlock going to happen, right? So even in our databases also we have these deadlocks. So in order to overcome that kind of deadlock situations, uh, we are going to apply, so on whatever the SOQL query records we are going to work on, we are going to apply a lock on them. That's where we tell other users that these records are getting processed, you will have to wait. Okay, so in order to avoid a situation like deadlock in general system scenarios, so we are going to, if two people are performing this some different operations on one particular record, it is going to confuse the system, or the system is going to be, become ambiguous. So it's not going to understand which operations to be performed first, which one next, right? So for that reason, we have a clause in SOQL query for update clause. So this is used to, to apply a lock on the records which we are performing, uh, on which we are performing some operations. Okay, so this clause is used to apply lock on the record so that the users can't perform the operations on the same record at the same time. So if you see more than one record at a time, mean in on one single record, two different users are performing operations. So that is going to create a lock situation. So to avoid that, so while we are performing some operations using our SOQL query, we would like to lock those records and we would like to perform operations. So yes, once this transaction gets completed, Salesforce will release the lock from those records. So when we say for update at the end of our SOQL query, so it is going to be locking the records and saying if the other users are working on same records which we are working for them, a message will be displayed saying the these records are locked, please come back after some. So this message will be displayed for them because we are performing the operation on those records currently. Okay, so similarly we just need to write our select statement, and at the end you will have to mark for update. So it is not a mandatory clause. So it depends on your scenario, how complex operations you are performing. Okay, so all the clauses are not mandatory. It's just based on our business requirement. We will be writing the making use of those clauses. Okay, so coming to the where clause. So where clause is used to add one or more user-defined conditions within the SOQL query to filter the records from the result set. Okay. Yeah, as I was telling you, these clauses are used for narrowing down our results, putting on some criteria, right? So where clause is like you are filtering the records. We can add multiple conditions with the help of logical operators. So SOQL query where conditions, so we can give either one condition here or multiple conditions with our logical operators separated by logical operators and or not, right? So where rating is equals to hot, where industry is equals to banking, annual revenue greater than, yeah, here we are using an operator C, where email not equal to null. So we are pulling the records where the email field has a value. We are pulling the records which are active, right? We can add multiple conditions by using logical operators. Rating is equals to hot and annual revenue greater than 50. So and operator we are using, or operator we are using, right? So we can write that kind of queries also. So write an SOQL query to fetch all banking account records from the object. Okay, so let's go ahead and write, execute this particular query. S object type is not supported. So this is a normal query. Let me check. So ID, name, rating, industry, annual revenue from account. So it should execute. Okay. And I'm putting where industry is equals to banking. Do I have industry name? Yes, I am mentioning industry name. Hope I have one record, if I remember, one record at least as a banking. So let's see. Right, there are 3 records. Okay, so this is how we can put the conditions where industry is equals to banking, and within where,
Dilip,
yes.
I'm not seeing your screen.
Okay, sharing is paused. Why? Should be fine now.
Yeah, it's so.
Okay, so it got paused, not sure why. So I stopped and reshared. Okay, so we can just give multiple conditions within our where clause by making use of our logical operators also. We can do that. Okay, the next one, write an SOQL query to fetch. So a couple of assignments with the queries as well. Okay, so let's write a small program now. Write an Apex program to fetch account records based on the specified industry name at runtime. Okay, so here till now we were doing only like fetching the data with the hard-coded details, but we can do fetch the data by providing the details at the runtime also. Okay, so let me write again the database helper class, and in that we will be writing a small method called get accounts by industry. So let's open our database helper class. So this is another static parameterized procedure. Okay, public static void get accounts by industry and string. So we are passing the industry name at the runtime. Okay, so if we supply industry as banking, only banking related records should be displayed. If we supply industry as manufacturing, only manufacturing records, manufacturing industry account records will be displayed. Okay, so if industry name not equal to null and industry name not equals to blank, then we are going to, so why we are testing these conditions, if you understand, see, we are working based on the industry name value provided at the runtime, right? So we will have to make sure the industry name is not provided as null, industry name is not provided as a space, blank space. Okay, so that's why we will have to test the condition, that then only we will perform the operations, right? So list of account LST accounts is equals to static SOQL query ID name rating from account where industry is equals to colon in industry name. Yeah. So this is an operator which is very important, is equals to and colon. Okay. So that means it's in this particular, the where this is a variable where you can find the value of this variable in this particular variable. Okay. So usually if I give it as where industry, so if I give it as this way, so it's going to be static, right? Not, we are not passing it dynamically. So I want to pass it dynamically. So in that case, I am taking that industry name as a parameter in my procedure and providing that particular parameter as input here. So this is very important. Put the industry name. So it should, this can be again a single value, a list also, list collection also. So it can be an array also. So where industry in, so in a couple of list of values also. Here we are using one single value, but we can use multiple values also. Okay, so this is in operator, in operator. So system.debug number of records, just the size we are displaying. And if the list is not empty for account, LST accounts is equals to account records, all the records we are displaying, right? LST accounts, we are collecting the data based on the industry provided. So if here, if you understand, industry name is provided at the runtime, and based on that industry name, I'm collecting those particular account records whose industry name is in this particular industry name, which is provided at runtime. So I'm storing it in LST accounts. Okay, list collection of type account, and I'm just displaying the size of it, how many records are here, and hopefully it's not, if it is not empty, then I'm going to display the values of each account record. Okay, so I'm just fetching, and then so I'm supplying. For this enhanced for loop, you will have to supply an object type, which can, or list type or array type as an input, where it is going to traverse with all the records available in this particular list or array or object records. Okay, so you can supply that and create, for this is a for loop variable for account ACC, and this is where it is going to traverse these records and place it in here in the account. Okay, so hope our code is good. So our method, let's save our, so we have seen if we don't save, it will say the method does not exist. So it's not saved. Control S. 1 second, let me switch on my battery. Sorry for that. Yep, sorry for that. So here, what we were doing. We are fetching those records and displaying them, right? So this is how we can do. So I saved my class with this new method, get accounts by industry. So this is our static procedure, parameterized procedure. So let me try running that particular. And here you will have to provide the parameter also, pass the parameter also. Okay, so the parameter should be, let's say, I hope we have some manufacturing records. Manufacturing. So I'm passing the parameter database helper dot get accounts by industry, and I'm passing the parameter here. Okay, so let's execute debug only. And here are our records. So manufacturing, we have only 2 records, and we see the count of records also displayed and those 2 records displayed. Let's go ahead and verify the records. Okay. Yeah, here accounts, and I want to see all accounts, and in that manufacturing. Yeah, industry, I want to sort. Is it already sorted? See, manufacturing, only 2 records, right? So the same 2 records are displayed. So let's go ahead and see finance. Okay, only 1 record. Or we'll see energy. There are 3 records, right? So we'll run the query for energy. Okay, the industry name I'm passing is energy. Okay, so let's execute. There are 3 records. So 3 records should be displayed. Yes. So we see this 3 records, right? So this is how we can, dynamically pass the value at the runtime and then provide the industry value, and based on that we can fetch the records. Okay, so that's not that hard. It's easy. And to write an Apex program to fetch the case records from the object based on the specified status and priority at the runtime. So yeah, similarly we can do it, right? Okay. Yeah, let's go to our database helper class, and we are going to write one more method, public static void get case record strings. So here I'm passing two parameters, status as well as priority. Okay, if status not equals null and priority not equals null for case records, and if you see here I'm writing the SOQL query in the for loop definition. Okay, select ID, whatever fields I need from case where status is in this status, and so logical operator I'm using, and string priority is in this priority. Okay, so yeah, save it. So how you need to call get case records, and here you have to give pass two different values. Status is new, and I want to give priority as high. I hope there are few records with the new status and high priority. Let's execute. I'm not sure if we have those records or not. Debug. Yes. Yes, there are two records whose status is new and priority is high. Let's go ahead and verify whether there are those kind of records or not. So cases, and I want to see, since it comes under open cases, new cases. So status new and priority high. So these are the two cases which we got fetched. Okay. So this is how we can fetch the records from our, with the help of our queries on the database helper class. Okay. So the next one is in operator we just discussed. So by using this operator, we can compare a field value with the collection of elements. Yeah, we were doing it right in our previous query. So in the field, if the field value is matching with any of the collection element, then it will return the record. Always in operator should also be along with the where clause, right? Yeah. The operator which we used is equals to colon. It's referring only to a single value, right? But whereas our in operator, it is going to check in multiple values, in multiple elements, whether that is present in the multiple elements, then we are going to process it. Okay. So if you see the definition, I mean the syntax, SOQL query, where field name in, we are providing a list of elements here. So it can be an array, it can be a collection. We can provide a list of elements also, right? So how we are doing, where industry is equals to banking, or industry is equals to insurance, or industry is equals manufacturing. So this is normal way, right? But we can use in operator. So where industry, in banking, insurance, manufacturing, everything we are providing here, or we can provide an array. So we are creating an array, new industry names, and where industry in followed by colon and then our array. So we can do it this way. So we can also do this way. So I'm creating an array and I'm passing that particular array. Okay. So write an Apex program to fetch all the hiring manager records. Hiring manager, I don't have the fields ready with me. Write an Apex program to create. Okay, so this program, let me show you, let me explain you. So go to our database helper class, and we would be writing another small method that is, let's minimize this. So this is one more method in our database helper class, public static void get cases by industry. Okay, so string industry name, and industry name we will have to pass it at the runtime. If industry name not equals to null and industry name not equals to blank, get all the matching account records. See, here we are making use of map collection because this is we are getting the case records by referencing to the field called industry, which is actually present in the account object. But we are happy that account and case are lookup related. So that's where we can map them together also. So we are creating a map of ID and account where map accounts, new map ID account, and the values I'm providing it from my SOQL query, select ID name rating from account where industry name is equals to industry name, right? So I'm creating a map of ID and account. If that is not empty, then I'm going to create a list of cases from the case where account ID is in map accounts.keyset. So the key set is going to check only key values of that particular map. And I'm displaying the size and the case records. Okay. So we are getting all the matching case records, matching account records based on the industry provided at the runtime. And those records we are checking for cases in that key set. In that map, I have an ID field. So for this particular ID, if I have any case associated with it, those cases I'm picking it here. Okay. So where account ID in the map accounts dot key set means only this value it will be provided here. Okay, only IDs. So account IDs will be provided here. So if the account ID is in this account ID, then I'm going to fetch those records. It's a little complex, but yes, it's not that hard. So yeah, let me save. Let's execute this particular piece of code. Get cases by industry, and here what you have to provide the industry name. Okay, so based on that, the account records are going to get fetched first, and for those account records, case records are going to be fetched. So we'll go with energy again. There are 3 records, right? But we don't know how many case records associated with these 3 account records. So those case records are going to be get fetched. Right. So there are 11 case records for this 3 energy industry account records. So if you want to verify, we can still do that. Let me share. Right. So account records and not recently, all accounts. and in that energy, so these three are here. I'm opening in a new tab. Okay, and altogether we need to have 11 cases. So let's see how many cases are associated with each of them. So here it's 6, if you see, and here 1, 7, and here 3, 10. So first one, it is mentioning as 6 plus. Show me, yeah, 7 cases. 7 plus 3 plus 1, 11. So total 11 cases we are getting it displayed for in our query, right? So yes, that is all about in operator. So in clause, and the next one is like. Right, like operator. So like operator is used to fetch a similar kind of information from the Salesforce object based on the specified expression. Okay. Always like operator should be along with the where clause. So where field name like. See, if you see here, like, see, if you, there are scenarios like you don't remember some account names, but you remember when some field names way, but you remember a part of it. So in that case, we can make use of this like operator. Okay, so it's going to work as a pattern matching criteria. Okay, while preparing the expression, we have to use the help of wildcard characters. SOQL supports below 2 wildcard characters. Percentage represents 0 or more characters. R percentage means, so like R with more characters after R. So if you remember just the name starting with R, yeah, we can give R percentage or Ram percentage. So Ram followed by a number of characters. So percentage Kumar. So that means percentage, there are a couple of characters in front. I mean Ram Kumar, Naresh Kumar, Ramesh Kumar, all this kind of records are going to be returned, right? So this is how, and underscore represents only one character. If you have multiple characters, use percentage. If you have one single character, use underscore. Okay. So here, write an SOQL query to fetch all the account records whose name is starting with United. Okay. So from select ID, name, rating, industry, annual revenue from account where name, yeah, this is name is the field, like United percentage. So percentage means starting with United word followed by a couple of characters, United States, United Nations, something like that. So many uh, fields will be returned based on the search criteria. So like means it is going to fetch the records like. So if you remember a part of the word, or and we are not sure what records it is, we can use the like operator. Okay. Yeah, these are the few assignments which we will not be doing for now. Okay, let me complete this dynamic SOQL queries. Right. So till now we were doing mostly on the static SOQL queries. So let us also do the dynamic SOQL queries. And in real time, we will be using both of them together sometimes. So, and mostly in Apex programming, it's the static SOQL query, but sometimes we may need dynamic SOQL queries also. So by using this approach, we can prepare the SOQL query by adding the required fields and conditions to the query dynamically at runtime. Okay. And based on our requirement. So dynamic SOQL query will be stored in a string variable, and it has to be it will be running from our database method called database.query method. Okay, we need to invoke dynamic SOQL query manually by using database.query method, which is always returns the results in the form of a list collection. Yeah, this is one important point. So we can execute the dynamic queries with the help of our database method called database.query. Okay, yeah, this methods I will tell you, we have DML statements class. So yeah, we are going to discuss more on database.query, database.insert, database.update, so many methods. Okay, so using this statement only, we will be executing our dynamic queries. Okay, list as object, and it's by default, it is going to store all the results in the list collection only. So list as object type, reference name is equals to database.query SOQL query. So this is the syntax of how we are going to write dynamic SOQL queries. String accounts query is equals to select ID, name, rating, right? So simple example of dynamic query, and to execute it, we need to use database query, database.query, right? Let's execute this particular class code. Okay, yeah, this is a pattern matching class code where you might need little more expertise on the regular expressions as well on this particular pattern matching. So yes, we can perform the search operations also on our SQL, on our Salesforce objects with the help of pattern matching criteria and the regular expressions. And we can also make use of the static and dynamic SOQL queries, right? Okay. So we have another concept called DML statements. Yeah, we will be talking more on all the database uh, methods, static methods, database static methods, which are available in ready-made, and how we are going to use it. So we are going to talk about the DML statements in the next class. Okay, right? So this is all about um, SOQL queries. So in SOQL queries, we have two types, static SOQL and dynamic SOQL queries. And in the SOQL queries, so in the static SOQL queries, we are making use of multiple clauses that so those classes, all the classes we have discussed, group by, order by, like, in, where, clause, and all rows for update. Let us have a small glimpse before we close the class for today. Right. So I hope we have we will discuss order by, we discuss limit, offset, all rows. Where is for mentioning some conditions, and in where clause we can have in and like operators, we can based on our requirement, and group by to group based on the conditions, having also based on the conditions, order by, order in ascending or descending order based on our requirement, limit to display limited number of records, offset to display the records starting from this offset position, all rows to display even the deleted records as well. For update, locking the records on which we are working for, in order to avoid some kind of deadlock situations. So yes, this is all we have discussed today about static and dynamic SOQL queries. Mm, yeah, that is all for today's class. We will meet again on next Friday with two classes. So be ready for, yeah, I will share the assignments and the notes also in some time. Just have do your practice on all these classes, and all these classes are very important. Collections is very important. SOQL is very important because to write complex scenarios, these are very much useful along with the iterative statements. Okay. Yeah, that is all for today's class. Have a good rest of the day. Thank you.